like I should have this down now at this point.
There
You guys can all see my screen, right?
Yes.
Nice. So thank you guys for joining. Welcome to our third installment of the TCAT speaker series. This will be officially our final part of the networking portion of the series, although we'll still be incorporating pieces of it throughout as a part of TCAT in general. And I just also want to reiterate that I'm available, Michael and Liz are available to help you guys with any part of this process, whether it's just understanding some of the terminology or you just need some help talking through some of these things. Again, it's not easy. And I started this process of, the whole personal branding and networking in college officially, but I've mentioned to you guys that in our first class that a lot of the networking that I've done, I didn't even know I was doing the networking, until I look back. So yeah, please reach out to myself, Michael or Liz. Don't be shy. And then to touch on what Liz was saying when, talking about TCAT, we're here for you guys. So in addition to what I just mentioned, I also am happy to, curate some other material for you guys if there's specific topics of interest. So, but that part's on you guys, and it's just a matter of, shooting us an email. Perhaps we can kind of send out a template with some ideas. For example, like, just helping with Microsoft Office skills to prep you for college when you're going to do them for classes, and getting specific, like whether it's PowerPoint, like these decks, or something more technical like Excel. But feel free to send those over, and we will incorporate. So without further ado, I'm just going to run through the agenda for what we're going to cover today. So first, I just want to briefly recap last class, and then kind of finish off the second step of building your personal brand. We started to talk a little bit about it last class with creating your identity. Then we're going to talk about the example I used with comparing your brand to as if it was like your own business and your own business brand, and specifically focus for these next two steps on the sales and marketing portion of that. Then we're going to talk about social media platforms, and then we're going to go into breakout rooms. So there's been a lot of feedback about, wondering, where to get a chance to practice this. So I'll talk about some more details when we get to that part of the session. Then we're going to finish up by talking about making your brand visible. So this is kind of like the outreach efforts and having your elevator pitch prepared to start reaching out to folks. We'll look at some examples, and then we're going to talk about the next assignment and preview of next class. So we spent a majority of time during these past, 3 sessions, the last 2 specifically on the discovery phase, which is, arguably the most important part of the most important step for building your personal brand. And, for a lot of people, it's the hardest one. And then last class, we started to spend some more time on the personal brand and on the elevator pitch, how they're different, and using some more examples to kind of define exactly what both of those things look like. So today we're going to finish off talking about, the second step of building your identity, which has to do with, curating and creating those social media platforms, and then the making your brand visible, which we'll finish off with. And that's, again, the outreach efforts. So I mentioned in the agenda about the marketing and sales side. So I just want to kind of rewind back to last class when I used the example of how you can see your personal brand as if it were your own business, and you're basically treating it as if it were a business, except instead of trying to attract clients, you're thinking like, right now we want to make this very college centric. And we spent last class talking about how, your personal brand and, these steps to uncovering your personal brand are very much what the college application is trying to, understand, and is a platform for you to kind of present those things. So we talked about how, the innovation team is kind of like your unique selling points. This is where you differentiate. When you think about the best businesses, and we talked about some of the examples, like with Apple, Jordan Brand, Khan Academy, Walt Disney, all of these companies, they've hit their success because they were able to make, be unique and stand out from the rest of the competition. And that's exactly what you guys need to do. Stand out from your competition, from the other college applicants that are applying to your schools of choice. And then we talked about the operations, right? So this is kind of your skilled laborers. What kind of skills are you hiring for your business? What kind of skills are you going to provide for, your college that you end up matriculating to? And with regard to the college application process, this is more kind of where you're, in the college application, you're going to be able to list your extracurriculars and your skills. So, some of the college app is, somewhat kind of self-explanatory and, doesn't require as much of that thought. But I talked to you guys about the marketing and sales department of your business or of your brand. And this is where, you think of the commercials of these big businesses where they're kind of portraying what their mission statement is, what they're passionate about, what their goals are, and what they're doing. So this is, I really want to emphasize and, want you guys to focus on this for the rest of this session, because this last piece of, building that identity, which you guys have already started with the elevator pitch and answering that, that question, tell me more about yourself. Now is a matter of, marketing and advertising in the sense of like making your social media profile a great kind of, blurb of your personal brand, telling your story. And then that outreach effort we're going to talk about at the end. So I want you guys to focus on that sales part at the end of the session where you're making your brand visible, you're selling yourself. And ultimately, I want you guys to think of it as like you're selling yourself to these college admission officers. You want to make them kind of fight over you because you're such a good applicant. And you do that by, the elevator pitch and just portraying your personal brand in a successful way. So you guys are probably excited about this part of the series. I'm going to talk a little bit about some social media platforms. I don't want to spend too much time on a lot of these. I want to dive into LinkedIn, but I do think each of these are important. So I have blog, Instagram, and Twitter kind of bunched up first that I'm going to talk about. So I think, blogging is a great place for you to share your point of views. So like if you're, very research focused and very scholarly, it's a good place for you to share your work. If you're a writer, it's also really, and I think this is where it links with Instagram, where it's a great place to, kind of share your artwork, or whether that be like photography or if you're a cook. I think, a lot of you guys might already have an Instagram or some sort of blogging social media platform where you've kind of already seen those examples. I'm a big fan of Twitter. I think Twitter is a great way for, everybody, but specifically as a high school student, I think it's really helpful. And it was for me to follow people who, in industries that you're interested in. So like, let's say you're a little interested in politics, but you're also a little interested in pre-med. Well, you can follow people that are in that field. If you're pre-med, you can follow, there's very relevant, like MDs who are on Twitter, especially now with, COVID, that are, speaking out and sharing their opinions. So if you want to learn more, then this is a really good way to do that. And to kind of expand on what your goals are, maybe this is a helpful way to do that by kind of seeing what other people in the field are doing. And I think it's also, I have friends who have post-college been very successful with networking to people by like DMing them based on something that they submitted, like a blog or some sort of POV submission on a topic. And it led to them, actually getting a job and meeting with the person beforehand and getting an interview and getting a job. So I think those are all important. I just kind of want to distinguish a little bit of the difference between them if you guys are already, not familiar. I don't have to do that much for Facebook because I feel like all of us have a Facebook. I think Facebook's awesome. I keep in touch through Facebook messaging with so many of my friends. I think this is a huge tip on networking. I'm terrible with remembering birthdays, but if you have friends on Facebook, it's really a great way to do what I've been encouraging, which is keep in touch, right? And if you haven't talked to somebody in a year, well, they're eventually gonna have a birthday, and I always send a happy birthday message. And it can just be that, or it can be, kind of a catch up with whoever that person is. So I do think it's very important. It's kind of become a little obsolete now with the other social media platforms that I've already mentioned and we'll be talking about. But arguably most importantly about Facebook and about all of these social media platforms, before I go on, is it's really important for you guys to clean that stuff up. Like, you do not want to get caught with anything stupid on your social media profiles that a college admission officer might see. I have multiple, it's funny because I'm about to talk about LinkedIn and like friend of a friend. I have close friends and friends of friends who have who were no longer considered for their college because of it was called out that they found pictures or comments that were really not about what the colleges were looking for. So my number one advice, if you take anything away from this, is as you apply to college, make sure that you clean everything out. If there's anything in there in your social media profiles that could possibly hurt your opportunity with your college that you're applying to. So I just wanted to talk about those briefly, but I think the most related to, what we've been talking about is LinkedIn. So we're going to just take a dive and, spend some more time on that. So LinkedIn, how does it work? I think this social media platform also deserves some more time because you guys might be familiar with the other ones, but this is something that kind of comes more into play. People, think that it comes into play like when you're in college or after college and it only has to do with jobs. But again, I think, one of the most important parts of the series is that if you guys can start and use the college application process, just the situation that you're in now, use it as an opportunity to start to build your personal brand, start to build your network, because once you get to college, this stuff is going to become just as important. And if you have that foundation of already starting this up, even if, and again, your personal brand is something that we've talked about already as it's something that's going to grow. You guys are going to, grow in experience and education. So you're going to build on your personal brand and on your LinkedIn, as we'll talk about. But, I just want you guys to I want to come back to the fact that this is something that's going to set you up for success now and going forward. So at LinkedIn, the way that they define it on their website is that it's a platform that connects you to your trusted contacts and helps you exchange knowledge, ideas, and opportunities with a broad network of professionals. So again, you guys can maybe already, if you don't already know what LinkedIn is, understand how it differentiates a little bit from those other social media platforms. And I think one of the most important parts to explain, because when you guys, and I guess I'm giving away the surprise, one of your parts of your assignment is going to be to create a LinkedIn profile. And when you do that, it does a really good job of, kind of like holding your hand and helping you, one, understand how it works, and two, kind of, it helps you set up your profile in a way that it exposes you to the different features of LinkedIn. So what I do want to, spend a brief amount of time here on is how the kind of connections work. And I think this has a lot to do with networking in general. So it's really important to spend time on. And if you guys have questions at all, please type in the chat box, because I want to make sure that, the point is portrayed. So there's a first degree connection, and I'm going to pick on Emmanuel again because I think that the example will be helpful here. So say like before this series and before I met Emmanuel and became a part of TCAT, we're just going to use that as the example scenario. So a first degree connection is this person is in your network right now. And this is like your friend. So for Emmanuel, this would have been one of you guys in TCAT, or it would have been like Michael or Liz. That's a first degree connection. But before I met Michael, I was a second degree connection to him. So I was also in his network. Just because I knew Michael and Liz, I was a second degree connection at that point to Emmanuel. And to take it, so it's a friend of a friend. This is where it gets a little confusing, and I don't want you guys to think about this, too deep, but a third degree connection would be a friend of a friend of a friend. So in Emmanuel's scenario, before he had met me, Michael and Liz were a first degree connection. I was a second degree connection because I was a friend of Liz and Michael. And then a third degree connection would be like Kevin, my friend from UVA, who I connected him with to talk about his experience at UVA coming from West New York. So Kevin was my friend. I'm a friend of Liz and Michael. And then there's a manual. So you can see kind of there's 3 steps, 3 kind of degrees of separation. And if you guys have ever heard of the term 6 degrees of 6 degrees of separation, basically like it's like this concept that you're connected to everybody. If you kind of keep on, it's like your 16th cousin, right? You know, we have all these cousins, 3rd cousin, 4th cousin. It's kind of like that concept. And that's why, you know, LinkedIn shines, because they really help you tap into that with all their algorithms. Can't even say the word, algorithms, and the tech that they have behind it. So just briefly, if anybody has any questions, I want to just pause for a second if you guys have any questions about this. And I included this image here. Again, you guys will have access to all of these slides after the fact, so you guys can come back and spend some time here. But hopefully this picture, it's kind of this branching effect, tree branching, where you can see this is like your 1st degree connection. So Emmanuel's up here. This is like Michael, Liz, and then I'm, you know, the 2nd degree connection, I'm right here. And then let's say Kevin, he would be down here. These folks are all in your network right now, and you may not even realize it, but this is why LinkedIn is so crucial, because it really points that out to you. So I don't see any questions, so I'm going to continue. So you guys understand a little bit now how LinkedIn works, but, you know, why create a LinkedIn? You guys are still probably wondering, you know, I'm in high school. I don't really understand how this is going to be specifically applicable to me, right? So I shared this little blurb from LinkedIn has a really good student page for high school students. And what they include here is that while LinkedIn is a professional site, you can and should put related material on the site when beginning. So I thought that's important, just so you guys realize that it's not just a professional website for, you know, post-college graduates. But in addition, we've already talked about networking. I think that it's great for keeping in touch with contacts, you know, who might be able to like help you out, whether it's, you know, mentoring you, or additionally, they could be valuable connections when you look for a job, apply to scholarships, or apply to college. And then again, we talked about that innovation team. When you're thinking about that personal brand, your unique selling points, you know, we want to differentiate. And LinkedIn is awesome because it really helps you stand out from the college competition. This stat is, I think, really helpful to understand why that's the case. Only 9% of high school students use LinkedIn. So this means that like the students who do have a LinkedIn obviously have a better chance of standing out from their competition. And there's no place specifically for you to link your LinkedIn URL to your profile, but if you put it in there, somebody will look at it from an admissions team, and that can just show so many things. In addition to them having, you know, they've been beginning to understand what your personal brand is by looking at your college app. You've been doing a good job giving them blurbs to want to know more, whether that's in your college interview or in one of your essays. This gives them another, another place for them to be like, wow, this person is really, they're really like, they have the work ethic and drive. And it gives them another area to kind of learn more about your personal brand, especially if you've already done a good job of kind of giving those little snippets or blurbs of it in your other areas of your application. And then start professional networking early. I just mentioned to you guys how this is something I wish I would have known when I was younger. And if you guys do this now, it's going to make it so much easier in the future when this becomes just as important. So like I mentioned to you guys, how you already are a part of several networks. We covered that in the first class, whether it's your TCAT peers, your high school, like fellow high school students, coaches, teachers, and then like your family and neighbors and coworkers, right? So LinkedIn is awesome because when you send these connections and invites, if it's somebody that you already know right now and familiar with, say a teacher, and you're graduating from high school, well, they can kind of keep in touch and kind of see how your personal brand grows, right? Because the personal brand isn't something stagnant. It's going to continue to grow. And it's a great way to, keep in touch. But also it's, it gives them a lot more material to write like a college essay. So if you guys, do a really good job with this, you can potentially, and you're starting early, you can make it easier for your whoever writes your college recommendations to have some more information and background. And then take control of your own online narrative and establish an online identity. So one thing about LinkedIn, and I'll show you guys an example shortly, is that if you Google yourself, when you create a LinkedIn profile, for a lot of you, right after you make that account and Google yourself, it's likely going to be the first thing that comes up when you Google your name. So, right, the personal brand, we want it to be out there, but, you know, just important to keep in mind, because this is something that you should take seriously, and also realize the potential and the power of LinkedIn, and how this is something that's going to really make you stand out, especially if you start early. And then ultimately making your brand visible, right? We've already talked about that, and that's, you know, the key part of this next step. So, you know, hopefully that helps you guys understand. Again, any questions, you know, feel free to send them in the chat. So how will this be useful right now? So in addition to those, you know, college recommendations and the things that I mentioned on last slide, why it's important to create a LinkedIn, there are specific opportunities that you guys can start reaching out about right now with, you know, by having LinkedIn. So this is, for example, pre-college internships, whether they're paid or unpaid. With LinkedIn, you can, you know, one, they provide a lot of job postings. So you can kind of start to see these things, especially if you're following certain groups or people that are a part of these, you know, these companies that have internship programs. And then, you know, skill developing volunteer opportunities. So it's not just for internships, but you also can find stuff that you can volunteer for, but that's, you know, something that's going to help improve your skill set. Or perhaps like you're interested in something and you want to see if you actually are interested or not. So you're going to use this volunteer experience, one, to build your resume and to build your skills, but also to kind of get a taste of whatever that specific opportunity is and whether you like it or not, excuse me. And then lastly, scholarship and college entry programs. So this is something we're going to encourage each of you guys to start reaching out to. We already have, but we're you know, curating a list of additional scholarships that you guys are eligible for the most part. And with LinkedIn, you can reach out to alumni of these scholarship programs to learn more about their experience. And maybe you can get connected with somebody who happens to be a specific recruiter for these scholarships. Same goes for the internship and the volunteer opportunities. So I just want to include these as, you know, ways for you to think that this is something that can be really useful for you right now. If you land that internship as a high school student, that's going to make your resume look so much better. It's going to give you more to talk about in your story, whether it's an internship, paid or unpaid, whether it's a volunteer experience, and then obviously a scholarship opportunity speaks for itself. You know, who doesn't want to get college funded fully or almost fully, right? So the LinkedIn can really help for that, and you can look at these success stories online and how it's been helpful for a lot of people. So I don't want to spend too much on this time on the slide, but when you do go back, feel free to you know, take a look. I just pulled some quotes about how LinkedIn is like your personal brand in the world. So I won't read through all of these, but you know, I like this one on the bottom left. Your brand is about the emotional experience you want people to have as a result of interacting with you. And a LinkedIn profile is an aspect of that. So just so that you guys don't think I'm just kind of taking this route and, you know, bringing these things together out of nowhere, this is something that's, you know, a lot of thought pieces have been written about, and it's something that's talked about a lot, especially now versus the past. So I am going to share my browser real quick because I want to go through a profile checklist of what, when you guys, so I've already spoiled the surprise. You're going to be creating a LinkedIn account for your homework. But again, LinkedIn, and we'll provide you guys with these resources, but LinkedIn, it's university.linkedin.com. If you guys want to copy it now, and they do high school and college student specifics with regard to kind of what you should have on your profile, or kind of what you should you know, set as your goal for what your profile should look like. And I just want to quickly run through some of these. I'll place an emphasis where I think it might be more helpful. Just give me 1 second. Cool. So, right, so easy. I think the photo is really important. You guys don't want to post a photo that's kind of like a funny picture. You want it to be somewhat, you know, professional. So like, don't post anything creepy, but that speaks for itself. And then the headline. So I think the headline's really important, and we're going to dive into the specific example of Amy Gomez, who's a high school student. But I wanted to show you what they mean by this headline. Tell people what you're excited about now and the cool things you want to do in the future. So what a lot of people use as a headline, and what I use as a headline actually, is my title, like what and my job, which is like management consultant. But for you guys, I think you guys have an advantage that, you know, for those of you who don't really have a set job, you can use this to kind of, remember, we want to attract people in and kind of give, you know, think at your elevator pitch. You want to use words and, you know, terms to get these people to want to read more. So what Amy did here is, in her headline, she put gadget lover and aspiring marketer. So, you know, you can already tell off the bat that she's really involved in like tech, and she's an aspiring marketer. So she hopes to, you know, market and, you know, kind of intersect the two. It kind of makes me want to read more, honestly. So, you know, this would be a place where you would usually, and if you guys have a really good, you know, club or any type of initiative that you're currently a part of, you can use this place for that. But otherwise, you know, I think it's really a great way to bring the reader or grab their attention, I should say. So then summary, describe what motivates you, what you're skilled at, what's next. This is what I want you guys to use your about me for. So when I mentioned to you guys 1 to 2 paragraphs, it doesn't have to be that long, right? These are 2 short paragraphs, and we're gonna, we'll look at that a little more in a second, but I just wanna run through this checklist. And I'll mention again that when you guys create your profile, LinkedIn does a really good job of leading you to like the next one in a kind of seamless way, or they try at least. So summary, that's basically your about me. Experience, these are your jobs, internships. This is where you kind of put that in. Again, for those of you who don't have a job, which is fine, or haven't had a job, you don't have to worry too much. You're going to be able to, you know, put a lot of stuff and information in these next parts, which is honors and awards. Don't be shy if you know, any type of award, whether it's athletic, whether it's, you know, regards to like instrumental, whatever it might be. You guys definitely want to include that. Again, this is a lot like what you're going to do on your college application. You're going to have to list these skills and courses and extracurriculars. So if you haven't done your application, this is really good practice for that. And you can kind of refer back here when you get to your college application and just kind of almost copy and paste it. So it's really helping you out now in preparation for that. So projects, if you have any personal initiatives, or like if you did a science fair project or something, make sure to include that. Courses, self-explanatory, your honors, AP courses, whatever they are. Skills and expertise, you know, if you're really good at, you know, digital marketing, if you're really good at web design, list all those things down. Organizations, if you're a part of any, you know, clubs and stuff, you get to list that here. Volunteer experience speaks for itself. Education, just list Memorial High School. And then recommendations, this is something that might come a little later, but if you guys do a good job and connect with your teachers, mentors, coaches, they can start to self-input. They can start to input in your recommendation tab. And this is especially relevant to those of you who have jobs already. Remember, I mentioned as one of the folks that are already a part of your network are the people who you work with, or your bosses at work. They're going to maybe have to write you a recommendation for work one time, but if they have their input on LinkedIn, that never will go away, and that will be there, you know, kind of forever. So it's going to be really helpful for you. So in a way, it's almost better than an actual recommendation because it's a one-time thing. So I'm just going to spend some time going through Amy's profile, and you guys will, in the slides, be able to come back here and use this as an example. So I talked about the headline, but briefly about the about me. Again, it doesn't have to be very long. So the first paragraph is, I live for tech. I'm always the first one in my school to know about the latest gadget or newest website. My dream is to go from someone who reads about the newest technology to the person who gets people to buy it. Next year, so this is a high school senior. Next year, I plan to study marketing at San Jose State University. Someday, I hope to be a marketer at a tech company in Silicon Valley. So you guys can start to see kind of that personal brand and elevator pitch and the specific features of that popping out here. So you can see, you know, right off the bat, unique selling points. I live for tech. This person's all, and you already kind of got that from the headline. It's just something that they're like really passionate about. They're the first person to know about the latest gadget or newest website. That's pretty cool. Like they're the first person. This is how they're selling themselves to you as the reader. My dream, right? So my dream, think of passion and goals, right? My dream is to go from someone who reads about the newest technology to the person who gets people to buy it. So it's listing, kind of her goals, tying together those unique selling points and interests to what her goal is and what she wants to do. And she says that clearly at the end. Someday I hope to be a marketer at a tech company in Silicon Valley. So she knows, how she wants to bring all of those things together in the future. So I think this is a really good example. Also, if you have something a little longer, it's fine. But, you don't want to overdo it for this specific part of the about me. And then again, I don't want to spend too much time on this experience. Best Buy, whatever job you have, don't be shy, include that, because then you're going to be able to tie that with a recommendation if you have that. Education, you see high school, volunteer experience, Habitat for Humanity, Girl Scouts, skills and endorsements, social media, team leadership. And I'm happy to work with you guys in your profiles. I know, initially it's just going to be a matter of getting this stuff on here, but if you have questions, I'm happy to help. And I think this example will be really helpful. So I'm going to come back to the slides here. And so we are now going to jump into to breakout rooms for your elevator pitches and about me's. So what I want to use these 10 minutes for is we're going to have 5 group admins. So we'll have, 5 small groups of about 4 or 5 of us. And during this time, if you guys have your about me's ready, this is a great time to share them. No pressure on sharing your about me's, but you should at the least have an elevator pitch. As that was our assignment 2 weeks ago, and we talked about last class about how we would be incorporating that into our session. So, again, we're here to help you guys. We really feel like this is something that's going to be very helpful for you guys, whether it's for your college interview or just anything about your college application. And also just having the chance to get some feedback from your peers. Like, we're all here. This is what TCAT's about, support group. And, we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't think it would be helpful. Not only to get that feedback and, to practice that, but to have, the opportunity and you guys don't have to do this orally. If you wish, you can share it via Zoom chat. Either way, if you're going to do it orally or just share it through chat, please share it, whichever of those 2 options you pick, so that each of the groups can start to read and break it down to help you with the brainstorming. And so I want to, give each of the group members up to 2 minutes to present and share that. And then kind of give about a minute of feedback after. And then if you don't have your elevator pitch or your about me, then at least you can share your USPs, those unique selling points, those passions and goals, and then the skills, along with, if you have a club or activity you're a part of, so that the group can maybe start to help you to, curate whatever it is that, you're missing, if it's the about me or if it's the elevator pitch. So, and if you guys finish early, feel free to come back in the main lobby, and we'll just wait until those 10 minutes are up.
So I created the breakout rooms. We have, given the number of participants, we have 4 of them, but yes, we'll join them right now. And then there's a 10-minute timer. If we finish sooner, then we can definitely just come back after that. So I will open them right now.
And we're back. I hope those went well. I just got for Steve and Shay and Adrian, who were in my group, I just was like talking and the room cut out. I was like, I have 5 seconds, and it was like, stop talking. But nice, yeah. That I think that went well, and hopefully for all you guys, it was helpful. I know we're approaching time here, so I am going to share my screen again, and I'll run through what's important here. And again, as I was sharing in my group, this is again a really good opportunity for you guys. We're going to try to incorporate this going forward. And I think it was helpful for them because they kind of can know that they can reach out to me with any help. So if you guys were stuck or didn't have enough time to finish during those 10 minutes, you can kind of just pause, remember where you left off, and feel free to, bring it up. I'm happy to work with you guys individually. So let's go next slide. So now we're jumping to that last step. You've built your LinkedIn profile, but now who's going to see it, right? Who's going to Google your name, right? You need to start reaching out and making that brand visible. So this is where that networking piece from the beginning comes back into play. You know, this is all, the hope was that it would be full circle like this and it would all come together. So how to gain LinkedIn followers. This will be part of your assignment as well. So one, connect with your friends on LinkedIn. So remember I mentioned to you the first degree connections. That's all of us in this call right now. We're all first degree connections. So we should be friends on LinkedIn, because once we're friends, then you get to uncover our network, and then you get to know who our second degree connections and third degree connections are. So there really isn't any excuse to connect with us. And we all know that we're all in the same playing field. We just started. So don't feel bad if you don't have enough stuff on there. If anything, it's only going to help you, because it'll kind of motivate you by starting to connect with others. But it'll also give you guys, you know, direct feedback from us, since we're friends, and, you know, we can kind of just look at it. And then ask people you meet for their LinkedIn. So whether it's a, I don't know if there's college fairs a lot at Memorial or not. It's an example you hear of all the time. But whether it's somebody you meet at a college fair, one of the admission representatives from there, whether it's anybody you've met, whether it's somebody at work or a client, or whatever, whoever you've met along the line, or you are going to meet, ask them for their LinkedIn at the end of it. You know, it's kind of weird. It's like we're in 2021 now, or 2020. It's been such a crazy year. Nowadays, it's like, it's not about giving a business card out. It's a matter of sharing your LinkedIn and connecting on LinkedIn so that they can understand more about your personal brand. If you've just met them, they probably have gotten a little snippet of it, but now when you connect, they're going to really get that full picture. And, you know, hopefully when you've met, you've made a good impression and given them that blurb of your brand so that they can be interested in learning more. And then lastly, use LinkedIn to find professionals in the fields you're interested in. I already spoke about that, but what I want to touch on here is that, you know, you should reach out to them and ask to connect. You should personalize the message. One of the most important things about all of this is that networking is not transactional. Remember, it's something that's meant to be organic. And when you reach out, you don't want to sound like that example I gave you last class of that person who was just like, I want a job, basically, and sounded like really selfish in their elevator pitch. You know, you want to just show your admiration for the person you're reaching out to, whether that's off the bat or at the end of your LinkedIn elevator pitch. And I want you guys to really keep that in mind, because if not, you won't be successful if you're just reaching out to get something at the end of the day, because the point of this is to make those relationships and begin to nurture them. I want to go through this example. So Michael gets picked on now. I'm going to run through this quickly. You guys can look at this later, but in the interest of time, I want to move this out of the way. There we go. So this is something that actually worked for Michael. It was one of, I believe it was one of his research professors, and he wanted to connect to learn more about his nonprofit. So Michael has this interest in nonprofit. He has a former professor who he knows works in nonprofit. Just to give you guys a little background. So he reaches out, "Hi, Patricia, I hope all is well, and that you and your family are staying safe during this quarantine," right? So he starts off by making that connection, you know, making this more than just being selfish and asking for a job. He's asking first how he's doing, you know, hoping that all is well and asking how they're doing, right? This is simple, something that all of you guys should do. There really isn't an excuse not to. I always, in all of my messages, say, hope all is well, and that, you know, you're looking forward to your weekend or something. You don't want to reach out right away saying, you know, I'm reaching out. So then after that, I'm reaching out to you right now because I'm in the process of forming a nonprofit group to help low-income students gain admissions to top-tier institutions. So again, he's listing out what it is that his goal is, what he's passionate about, what his goal is. And then he's bringing back that he kind of did his research, or that the first time they met, that they had a connection because Michael remembered it, you know. So he says that here, "I remember during our Dartmouth interview, if I'm remembering correctly, you had told me that you were working in a nonprofit regarding mental health, and you were working with families from Hudson County." So, right, this is a perfect person for Michael to connect with. They happen to be right in Hudson County. But he's bringing it back to that conversation and reminding that person of it, because especially interviewers and professors, they have so much on their mind that you kind of sometimes, if you've met the person already, you have to remind them what it is that you spoke about. And then at the end, "I was wondering if you'd be willing to talk a bit more about your experience doing that. And also, I'd love to keep you up to date on how my first year at Yale went. Please let me know if you'd be willing to arrange something in the future. So he's doing a great job at the end by saying he's, you know, he wants to learn more, but he also wants to share how his first year at Yale went, you know, so it's not transactional. And hopefully you guys can get that from this message, and that it ended up working for Michael. So good job, Michael. And then you guys will have this example if you guys want to refer back to it when you're doing this yourself. I am quickly going to give you a demonstration of how the LinkedIn search works. So when you guys go to search, and I want to make this as college-centric and applicable to the college application process. So I'm not going to show you my LinkedIn or do anything that's, you know, too high level in that sense. But what you guys can do is in the search bar, you can look for people, right? So you're going to click people. And then under the search tab, you're going to see people, which you already clicked. But then all the way on the right, there's all filters. So this is like a cheat code. It's crazy how many people you can find on here. So what you're going to, so it allows you to find those first, second, and third degree connections. You can write a specific person's name if you want to look them up and find out who their connections are. So this brings me back to why I was encouraging all you guys to connect with everybody on this call, because then you'll see by using the search, you can type in my name and look for my first, second, or third degree connections that way. And then you can connect with those people who are, again, already in your network. You can include a location like greater New York City area if you're looking for a specific job or somebody from nearby. But I want to just, for your first assignment, you know, you're going to be connecting with those first degree connections. So I want you guys to specifically scroll down in this advanced search to schools. And in schools, you're going to put Memorial High School. And again, I know we're, you know, running out of time here, so I'm happy to do this for you guys, you know, individually and give you a little bit more of a breakdown. Memorial High School. How did we find this, Michael and Liz, the other day?
Are you typing West New York, West New York, New Jersey?
We literally just did this and it come up.
Yeah, try Memorial High School and then maybe a comma and then West New York. I think that's what the tag goes by.
Oh, nice.
I think.
Or you can just keep Memorial High School. I think it'll pop up. There's not that many, and I believe it was like one of the top options when you searched it up originally.
Memorial High School.
Or maybe not. Oh, it's coming. No, it's not. Wait. No. Okay.
That's crazy. We literally just did this search, guys, and it had come up. What I can do for you guys, for your assignment, your first degree connections are all going to be people that, you know, you already know. You're going to have to reach out to 5 people. So I can come back and figure out why it is that this isn't showing right now. But just to show you that this advanced search filter can, you know, basically help you find whoever you want. And this is how I ended up getting a job eventually. It's you know, something that allows you to search for alumni. So when you guys eventually get to college and you want to find alumni who work in an industry of your choice, you can pick, or an industry you're interested in, like financial services. You can, you know, check these boxes. You can check specific companies. If you really want to work at Google, you can specifically check Google, and you can check people from all of your colleges that you guys end up attending. So you can, you know, speak with alumni. I will come back to this. I know we're out of time, so I want to give some more attention to the to this. I'm quickly going to try West New York, New Jersey.
Or try WNY. Oh, there.
Let's see if the West New York works. West New York Maritime Charter School. Nope, that's not it. Okay, we will come back to this, guys. This is so weird. If any of you guys find that, you get bonus points. I want to jump into the assignment here. So I've already told you you're going to create a LinkedIn profile, and you can start right away. Like, it's going to kind of walk you through how to start with your profile and what to populate specifically. But you can start off with that about me that you guys should have already completed. And then after you do that, start to populate other areas. Specifically, you should have that about me done already. So that shouldn't take you much time. And then the second part of the assignment is to send a minimum of 5 LinkedIn invitations. Again, you guys don't have an excuse not to send more, at the least the 14 of us on this call. So one of those 5 connections has to be me, Liz, or Michael. So I think this will be a really fun assignment for you guys. And again, if you have any questions, we're going to open up for questions in a couple minutes. But if you think of something after the call, feel free to reach out and to use the resources from these slides to help you generate that. So then what's next? So we are going to be covering how to prep for financial aid and financing college. So this topic is really, really important to me. As I mentioned to you guys, I transferred colleges from Wesleyan to University of Virginia. But in that process, I ended up paying 1 semester of college almost fully without financial aid because I had failed to file correctly, and there was just certain things I wish I had known before that. So, I ended up getting a lot of financial aid and not having to worry too much about it the rest of college, but I'm still paying off loans from that 1 semester where I was impacted by not having filled out financial aid correctly. So, and I want you guys to know that this isn't just me. And when I previewed the whole TCAT speaker series, I had a stat on, like, it was close to 40% of college applicants, I think it was 36 or 38 to be exact, incorrectly fill out the financial aid. So you're missing out on a lot of money. Like, we're talking thousands and almost $10,000s of dollars. Financial aid is out there to help you guys. But if you don't, understand how to file correctly, then it's going to really take away from the resources that you have. So I just want to, focus in on that example just to show you guys how important this is, and specifically that stat, which I think is crazy and shouldn't be that way. This is something that schools should really be helping students out with. But we're specifically going to talk about like the FAFSA or CSS, so like the nitty gritty, filling out the, that application. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about certain details that I wish I knew when I was in high school applying to college, like what's the difference between an unsubsidized loan and a subsidized loan. In addition, we're going to cover some, work study and just some other small topics that all come together and play a crucial role in making sure that you are able to finance college and that you understand that there are so many opportunities for you to, have to pay, a small amount of money as long as you fill out your financial aid profile correctly. So I just wanted to share that as a preview. And I hope you guys are excited for the assignment and are looking forward to this next session. But Mike or Liz had anything, or if you guys have any questions, I'll be on. 9:06, I think we finished 9:06 last time with the technical difficulty, so I'll take it. And I think the breakout rooms for the first time, it's something we can, test this time around and have it be a little more successful next time with regard to timing. So I am going to look at these questions real quick. Let's scroll up. Okay, is the difference between need-based aid and merit-based aid going to be covered next week? I was asking because because scholarships affect both type of aid differently. Yeah, so this is something we'll make sure to include in the session next week. We have some of our materials finalized, but we're still covering, including some additional topics. So this is something that we'll be covering next week. But thank you, Emmanuel. I think it's a good example of, if you guys have anything that you're concerned about or any questions, make sure to bring them up now, whether they have to do with what we covered this class or what we're going to be covering next class. And if you think of anything after this that you want to be included in next sessions, the next series topic, then please reach out to us, whether it's going back and covering something that we covered today, or last class that you feel like, I could have spent more time on, or if it's a specific financial aid concern or topic that you want to learn more of, ask us, because we might not have it in there. And if you let us know with enough notice, we can bring it up in there.
And you could even ask via LinkedIn.
Yeah.
See?
Seriously, we're going to have an interesting tie. You guys are probably wondering how we're going to tie the networking and the financial aid, but there's a way. So yeah, I think it's just also really important for you guys to, feel free to share this and spread the word about, these calls. I, hope they've been really helpful for you guys, and we'd like to, share that experience with others for these calls specifically. So feel free to do that, share the feedback. And
I will say, if there aren't any more questions, that again, I know that the link between networking and college is kind of hard to see at first, though I will say it's definitely there, and something that I, in retrospect, realized and wish I would have realized if I were if I were to do it all over again. But I know that the link to financial aid and financing college is a lot more tangible and a lot more immediate for you guys. So with that being said, I'm really looking forward to this upcoming session. I think that definitely, if you can, please tell your friends or anyone who you think might want to go to a top tier school or not even go to a top tier school. Just let them know about this upcoming session, because it's about financing college, and a lot of students don't apply to top tier schools because they're scared of prices. So in reality, schools are doing what they can to be feasible. So with that being said, I am looking forward to seeing all of you. Thank you guys for being so constant. Liz sent out the links in the chat box, I believe, for more of the speaker series, as well as to join our mailing list. So yeah, definitely be there. Definitely make sure you're spreading the word. I will be posting on social media a little more actively. But yeah, thank you for everything.
Hope you enjoyed, everyone.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week, and feel free to reach out individually if you have any questions, and looking forward to seeing what feedback we have.
Awesome. All right. Bye, everybody.